Hello and welcome to Jill Cameron Creations. I have a cold, so I'm sorry that my voice is going to be a little off today. What we're going to do today is I'm going to cross stitch on a card front, and I have an embroidery hoop for you to download over on my website at jillcameroncreations.com. And you'll hear me take a break every once in a while as I sip hot tea with a little bit of honey in it so that my voice stays with me today. So the first thing that I did was I stamped a heart in some ink, and it really honestly doesn't matter what color it is. I just chose black because it's going to be the easiest. And I took a picture of it and I uploaded it to my Silhouette Studio, traced it, enlarged it, and printed it out in a lighter gray color. And then you'll see here in just a second what that looks like. And I'm going to stitch that heart. I really liked the heart itself, but the stamp wasn't big enough for me, so that's how I handled that. Now we're not going to use the outline of the bookmark, we're just going to use the inside of it, and these are the only cross stitch plates I had. I know there are bigger ones out there. I think maybe Pink and Maine had them. I don't remember honestly, but I just wanted to make sure that this was covered about halfway, and then I will die cut it again. Warning, this does make a huge mess. You get little white dots of paper absolutely every stinking where. So just keep that in mind and know that you're going to have a big cleanup after you do this. But this card was lots and lots and lots of fun. And to make sure that this lined up, put it on a flat surface. I was trying to do it on the cut and plate and it just didn't work. Put it on a flat surface and then press pretty hard on the edge of the existing cuts, and you'll feel it. You'll feel that bump and where it falls into the lines on there. And then you can die cut a second time and have a full coverage there. Then I pulled out my old DMC floss that I've had since I was, I don't know, maybe Methuselah was a kid then. I don't know. Part of this came from my mom. As you can see, that is a really, really old card there. I don't even think they make this anymore. It's by Lorraine, and it was 100 years ago, and I have tons and tons and tons of DMC floss from my days of cross-stitching. So I figured I'd pull it out and use it. And I have, it's DMC 350, 351, 352. See, I wrote it down right there. And I don't think those colors have changed. I haven't checked, but I don't think those colors have changed. And I really liked them. They're a really deep coral color, and they're from a dark, a mid-tone, and a light. I didn't get a super light one. I just went with 3. If you've never cross-stitched before, and this is the first time I'd picked up a needle and thread to cross-stitch anything in 100 stinking years. I mean, it's been forever since I've cross-stitched anything. It's really simple. You cross stitch. You go up, through, down, through, up, through, down, through, but you go the same direction all the way across the first time, and then you go back over it and across, and just make sure that you're left to right and right to left all go the same direction at the same time. Cross stitching is not what I'm teaching today. I'm just showing you that you can on a card using these techniques, and it's really, really cute. The embroidery hoop is available over on my website, as I mentioned earlier, that we're going to put around this heart. And I'm sped this up so you don't watch me do all of this, but I just kind of wanted you to get a good idea of how to do this. I also added a few extra stitches in here, did like some 3/4 stitches and that kind of thing. You can do that with, you do that in regular cross stitch, like on a counted cross stitch. You can do that on a paper cross stitch too. It's the same premise. On the backs of some of my knots, I did add a little bit of glue to make sure that they stayed there, because like I said, it's been a long time since I cross stitched anything, and I forgot how to do the knots on some stuff. And this is, I wanted the heart, and I liked the dividers in it, and I wanted to put some white or light, super light gray string in there where the lines are in the heart. But I really liked that heart with the lines in it to be able to make that a gradient color and that coral and the 3 coral colors. So I really liked that, and so I took a stamp and stamped it and enlarged it and used it as a pattern instead of doing a counted cross stitch. I just used it as a pattern. There it is. Ta-da! And so we're going to take a look at, see, I put some glue on some stuff because, yeah, I forgot how to do it. Isn't that awful? I did this last week before I got the cold. So now I'm a little bit further down. You can see the color difference in this. I used 3 strands of DMC floss. The more strands you use, the thicker it's going to be on the card. Needed some tea. Oh, that feels good on my throat. So you get the picture, and there's the cross stitching, and I add white in there, as I said before, where the lines are, and just keep working my way down until I finished my cross stitching. I cut out my embroidery hoop 4 times, 3 out of just plain white paper, and then once out of an actual wood grain paper. It's not patterned paper, it's actually wood grain paper. If you plan on doing any cutting of any description of it with your silhouette that isn't a piece of paper, change your blade out. Just because wood or fabric or anything else, you'll need a different blade for it. I used a ratchet blade to cut out the wood grain paper, and that is adhesive back wood grain paper, and it's really, really old. I have no idea where it came from. I found it in my stash and said, oh, I'm going to use that. I think Tonic Studios makes one, and I'll see if I can find that and link to it below if I can find one. But it's a really nice wood grain paper there that's actually wood. It splinters and everything. So to put this in my embroidery hoop, I stacked 2 hoops together and glued them together, and then put one on the front, and then I'm going to back cut into the hoop itself around the outside edge of this. What that means is I'm going to bend the paper back a little bit away from the white hoop on the front, so I can undercut and back cut into the image so that the white paper that the heart is sewn onto doesn't stick out. And then I'm going to cut right into and up next to the top of it, and then I'm going to bend that up and cut around behind that so it looks like that it is in the hoop and not, quote, part of the hoop. And then I'm going to put the 2 that I stacked together previously on the back, and that way it looks like there is a bunch of dimension on this, and that there's actually a place behind the hoop and the pattern on here. Then I'm going to put the wood grain hoop on the front. I'm making sure that all the little pieces are out with my tool-in-one. So here's the outline of it. I would recommend, if you're going to do this, to do a test cut before you do it if you haven't ever done this before. And like I said, this is on adhesive back paper, but I knew if I took the paper off of it, it was going to be really, really flimsy. So I just left the adhesive back paper on there and used some glue to attach this. And while we're finishing putting this together, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Just hit the bell in the top corner up there so you can subscribe and not miss anything. You can also head over to my blog and sign up to receive my newsletter. It's not weekly or anything. It's when I feel like sending something out. And it also gives you access to my free resource library with SVG cut files and printables and all that good stuff. So to finish off this card, I'm taking a piece of coral cardstock, and I am stamping with the Mini Hearts background die from MFT in some Hero Arts Fresh Peach ink, and I'm going to set that aside so it can dry. And I found a Hugs die cut that's kind of a scripty font, and it's from MFT, and it is pretty old. It's pretty old. I don't even think they make this anymore or sell it anymore, and I'm sorry about that, but I'm all about using what I got to make a card in fresh new ways and not having to buy brand new stuff 100 times over. I'm just going to continue to use what I have. If it works, it works. I have no problem with that. So I die cut this, and I'm using a Platinum 6 die cutting machine by Spellbinders and my tool-in-one to get everything out. I die cut that 3 times, and of course I will use some Nuvo liquid adhesive to adhere these together and stack them up on my card front here. I just put little lines of glue everywhere and then stack them up. I usually start in the middle when I'm stacking up sentiments like this, and it doesn't matter if I have die cut them using my Silhouette or die cut them using my Spellbinders Platinum 6. I usually start in the middle and work my way out to the edges for sentiments and stack them up that way. I will also add some glitter gloss to these, Nuvo Tonic Nuvo, however you want to say that. It's all the same company. They have that glitter gloss that is silvery, whereas Wink of Stella is more champagne-y, and Spectrum Noir's shimmer pens are a little more silver. Glitter gloss is a little bit more neutral in tone. It's a little bit cooler when you put it on. So it fit right in there, and then I'm going to add some glitter gloss to it and put this on. It needed something else after I kind of got everything together, and I've been using liquid adhesive. Yes, I was feeling the effects of the cold, and I was getting ready to put adhesive on there. And you will notice I finished this card one day. I did the cross stitching and stuff one day and then finished it a few days later, because you can see my fingernail polish disappears in the video. But that's okay. It took me a day or two to get this finished just because I was feeling right rough, but I needed to get it done. Feeling much better now. I put some jewels on the cross-stitched heart, just a few little teeny tiny little jewels just to give it some glitz and glamour, and I wanted to make sure that this was stuck down all the way around the edges of it, because the back of the white part of where the cross stitching isn't attached to anything, so I wanted to make sure that that didn't go anywhere. And I'm using my jewel picker and adding some jewels here and there and figuring out the places that I want it. And you really can't see it in the video, which I'm sorry that you can't, but in real life the jewels really do stand out even though they're clear. I don't have any colored jewels. If I wanted to make these colored, I would just use my Copic markers and color 1 or 2 of them, but I wanted them clear. Works just fine. And when you put glitter gloss on black cardstock, I'm going to cover this in glossy accents as well to make it really stand out. Add a couple of layers. Go full out on it. You know, add a bunch of glitter to make it really stand out. And there's a picture at the end of the video where you can really see it, how much glitter I put on there, and didn't use any like glitter drops or anything like that. It's just flat out glitter gloss and some glossy accents on there. So that's going to be about it for this card. I'm just going to be putting on the glossy accents and this, and I wanted to include those 2 parts in the video so that you could see the glitter in it, and that also so you could see how I apply glitter glossy accents to something like this, because it's really just a matter of consistent squeeze and dragging that tip down on the cardstock and letting that stuff flow through it. So don't forget to head over to my website, jillcameroncreations.com, and click the link below to head over to the exact blog post, and you'll be able to sign up and receive the hoop SVG file that you can cut out with your Silhouette or your Cricut machine. Believe Brother, your scan and cut or whatever that thing is from Brother will do that as well. So just take a look at those and head on over. Thanks so much for joining me today. Have a great one.